So, Gundam. Where should you start? Well, I'm going to be completely honest, if you have no idea what a Gundam even is, or if you want to get started with this franchise, I think this manga series is a perfect place to start, especially if you prefer reading manga over watching anime. If you don't know, this series is a revisiting of the original Mobile Suit Gundam series, which I'm just going to call 0079 for simplicity. It aired back in 1979, and to put it simply, it didn't do that great, and it got cancelled. It wasn't an overnight success, and it took numerous tries to succeed, but it's still a good series at the end of the day, and is probably one of the most influential series of all time in the anime industry. I always have trouble recommending 0079 to people because it's over 40 years old, and a lot of people I know despise old anime. But I think this manga might be even better than the original source material in almost every single way possible. And I mean no offense to the original series. I love it. And I'm gonna make a set of videos in which I will analyze the series and I'll explain why I personally love it in detail. But for starters, without any spoilers, it's just an incredible piece of art, and it probably tells the story of the original TV series best. A quick synopsis of the series will probably be useful for newcomers who still don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But this series takes place in the year 0079, where humanity has somewhat migrated into space inside these massive space colonies that orbit around Earth. And there's this huge war going on between two sides, the Earth Federation and the Principality of Zeon. This battle is nothing like humanity has ever seen before, and it basically leaves a trail of destruction and death behind every single battle. This series basically follows a bunch of civilians and officers getting in the way forced into the war, using these massive robots called mobile suits to defend themselves. I think some of the best things about this manga is how dynamic the action and composition is. There's not that much manga I can think about that does action in an insane way like Dragon Ball, Berserk, or One Punch Man for instance. But I think this manga has some stunning and dynamic looking action. It's very easy to follow, and I'll talk about the process of how the manga was made in my analysis. But to put it simply, the creator of this manga is just insane. And speaking of how things look, I think this series has some of the best looking character designs in the entire franchise. More specifically, the Universal Century, which is a timeline the series takes place in. It's kind of hard to explain. And I think this series makes use of its characters more than the original. And one of the best things about this series is how the war drama is just so realistic. The series basically takes a look through each side of the conflict, and it can really make you question who are the good guys in this war. It's not so simple. It's not just a battle of good versus evil, which is what the original TV show back in the 70s kind of leaned towards. But this series does a fantastic job at showing the different types of people who are participating in this war, and it can really make you just think about it all. That said, I also love how well the characters are written in the series. Literally everyone here feels so important and vital to the story. And take one of these characters from the main group out of the story, and it won't be the same. I don't know how else to really sell you on this series. I think the mobile suit designs are just as good. They're all iconic, and some of which I've grown to love even more because of this manga. And whether you want to read this series because you want to get started with this franchise, or if you just want to read it and you're already in too deep, I think you should. It's a 10 out of 10 read in my opinion. It's not just a good science fiction story about war and its various effects on people, but it's also a very good coming of age story where the main characters basically have to adapt to war and are forced in a way to grow up. It's just really good. Also, if you don't want to read it physically because it's expensive as hell, I'll leave a link in the description on a legal site to where it's posted in English and in Japanese. The only downside though is that they haven't finished posting all the chapters. I think they've only have 1 or 2 volumes left until they're completely done. But it's free and official, and it's a great series. Another thing that's completely free is subscribing to the channel. You've probably heard this from every other YouTuber you've watched, but it genuinely helps me knowing that this is the type of content that people like watching. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.